As the NASCAR Cup Series season on the racetrack comes to a close in just 8 weeks, silly season is just getting riled up. Yo, what is up everyone? My name is Jett and welcome back to the episode of Inside the Lines. Hope you guys are having a good day. Now today's episode is going to be revolving around NASCAR silly season for the 2021 season. A lot of drivers on the market in terms of where will they go, and some might be out of a ride in 2021. But in this episode, we're going to focus on 5 drivers on what could happen to their careers both on and off the racetrack. So without further ado, let's not waste any time and jump right into it. So let's start off with the news that was just confirmed earlier today. Daniel Suarez and Gaunt Brothers Racing, those two signed a 1-year deal for the 2020 season, and it turns out it would be their final year together. It was announced that Daniel Suarez would leave Gaunt Brothers Racing at the conclusion of the 2020 season. Now, in an article from Motorsports.com, the team talked about Daniel Suarez's departure as well as their future in NASCAR. Owner Marty Gaunt indicated his organization remained committed to success in the Cup Series. We're laying important groundwork for improved goals next year that ultimately sets us up for success with the next-gen car in 2022, he said in a statement. We're taking a methodical, long-term approach to our future, and the next driver of our number 96 Toyota will be an integral part of that development. Now, it's very important that he said that. Important groundwork for improved goals next year that will set us up for success when the next-gen car comes to play in 2022. That tells me that Gaunt Brothers Racing could potentially have some deals lined up that could set them for a much better future with the team as the years go by. Now, currently at the moment, Gaunt Brothers Racing is a Toyota team. However, they have very little support with Toyota. That's because TRD, Toyota Racing Development, doesn't have as much capacity or resources to give the same amount of support and equipment to, let's say, Joe Gibbs Racing and Levi Family Racing to Gaunt Brothers. Well, now with the conclusion, or at least with the announcement that Levi Family Racing will close up shop at the end of the season, Gaunt Brothers Racing looks at this as an opportunity to get much more support from TRD. David Wilson, the president of Toyota Racing Development, said Toyota has the capacity to expand their support in 2021 given the unexpected departure of Levi Family Racing, and would entertain the addition of a new team or teams in 2021 with, quote, provided the right circumstances. He said the situation would be difficult, however, given the 1 year remaining of the Cup car using its current Gen 6 model car before transitioning to the next-gen car in 2022. Teams were originally scheduled to move to the next-gen car in 2021, but the COVID-19 pandemic prompted a 1-year delay. We've talked to a number of team owners this summer about opportunities, but we have nothing to talk about or announce right now. So, of course, a big part of your future in NASCAR depends on who's your driver. Well, a report came out around the same time as Suarez announced that he will be leaving Gaunt Brothers Racing. It's a big, shocking, out of the blue announcement. Sources are saying that Bubba Wallace could reportedly jump ship to Gaunt Brothers Racing. I'm not kidding. Now, right now, when I first saw this, and when many people first saw this, they were thinking, why? Simply, why would you join Gaunt Brothers Racing? It's a team that many view as a downgrade to Richard Petty Motorsports. At least at Richard Petty Motorsports, Bubba Wallace, there were opportunities for him to get into the top 5. He had top 10 finishes. Under the right circumstances, he could get in the top 10 and stay there. For a team like Gaunt Brothers, however, you struggle to even make it to the top 20. So why would Bubba Wallace make this move? Well, apparently it could come at the expense of Denny Hamlin. Now remember, Denny Hamlin, it has been rumored for a while now that he would invest in a Cup Series team in 2021. At first, it was Richard Petty Motorsports with Bubba Wallace, and it felt like a really good partnership. Well, now that Bubba Wallace is leaving, it looks like that sort of rumor between Hamlin and RPM is starting to die down. Then with reports coming out that German Racing is looking to sell the team, Hamlin's name was once again thrown into the pot. Well, now with Bubba Wallace going to Gaunt Brothers, Denny Hamlin is once again thrown into the pot to potentially invest in that team. And I've always felt that if Hamlin were to invest in a race team, it's going to be with Bubba Wallace. Main reason number one is the fact that, well, think about it. Denny Hamlin, major guy in NASCAR right now, wins a lot of races, having one of the best seasons right now in 2020 with Joe Gibbs Racing. He could potentially give Gaunt Brothers Racing some help, invest in that team, as well as give them, I guess you could say, help from what he learned from Joe Gibbs Racing, maybe, unless NASCAR sort of has a rule that blocks all form of communication between Joe Gibbs, Hamlin to Gaunt brothers. I think there's a rule that says that, but we're not going to dive into that just yet. But Hamlin could bring in a lot of information and input to Gaunt brothers racing and improving their race team. Bubba Wallace, by himself, brings in a lot of sponsorship. DoorDash, McDonald's, Cash App, Columbia Sportswear, Beats by Dre, much more sponsorship. Worldwide Technology, that's another one I forgot. He has a lot of sponsorship behind him. So, think about this. You have Denny Hamlin potentially investing in the team. You have Bubba Wallace, who brings in a ton of sponsorship. And on top of that, you have TRD potentially investing more into the team. It could set up a recipe for a long-term success plan. And that's why I think that maybe this move doesn't sound that crazy when it was first reported. If you just read the title, you think this is absolutely dumb what Bubba's doing. But when you actually read the article and read the things that is going on potentially behind the scenes, things are starting to add up a lot more. But with Bubba Wallace leaving Richard Petty Motorsports, now the question is who's going to replace Bubba in the 43 car? Well, apparently, according to the Forbes article, there are 3 drivers that they're looking at as potential candidates. Number 1, Erik Jones. And Erik Jones, I think, is the biggest name in terms of having a possibility at landing the 43 ride. In terms of bringing in sponsorship, I don't think he brings little, if not any, sponsorship to the table. I mean, when you think about his time at Joe Gibbs Racing, Stanley, D-Wall, Reese's, I think Reese's Foods, I think that's the company, Freightliner, all the sponsors that were on the 20 car were from Joe Gibbs Racing. I can't remember any sponsorship that Erik Jones brought in. Someone could tell me in the comment section down below, but I can't remember, and I don't think there's any sponsorship that Jones brought in to Joe Gibbs Racing. So even though Jones, he's a proven winner, 2-time Cup Series winner, won in Daytona July 2018, and last year's Southern 500 winner, he knows how to get to victory lane, but when you don't bring sponsorship to the table and you go into a team like Richard Petty, which I guess you could say now with all the sponsors that they had with Bubba leaving the team, they're now once again in the hole, or at least in a situation maybe where they need to sign a driver that has sponsorship. Which leads me to my next driver that I think is in line, Brandon Jones. I think he's in his 2nd or 3rd year in the Xfinity Series right now. He's got a lot of sponsorship behind him at the moment. I could see this as a potential situation, like a paid driver coming into Richard Petty Motorsports. Even though he might not be the best driver, he at least is going to bring that team some stability at least. And the third option, Ty Dillon. Because let's say this Richard Petty Motorsports deal between Toyota and that whole thing, let's say if that falls flat, which I say if Toyota does go on to Richard Petty Motorsports, then that transition of Brandon Jones taking over would make sense because Brandon Jones drive for JGR, he's a Toyota driver, it makes sense. But let's say if Richard Petty Motorsports does not become a Toyota, it stays a Chevy team, then Ty Dillon would also make sense because remember, Richard Petty Motorsports is currently affiliated with Richard Childress Racing. Ty Dillon, the grandson of Richard Childress Racing, Ty Dillon's currently looking for a ride with Dreaming Racing, looking to sell the team. You see where I'm going with this. This partnership would also make sense. RCR affiliated team would make sense to have the grandson of RCR come over and take over the 43 car. But majority owner of Richard Petty Motorsports, Andrew Murstein, is also looking at other forms of drivers from the minority standpoint to take over the 43 car in 2021. He said that he has an interest in providing an opportunity for a driver from the minority scene like Kyle Larson, a driver we're going to talk about in a little bit. And I'm not kidding when I say this. Hailie Deegan. Hailie freaking Deegan as a possibility. Look, I love Hailie Deegan. I want her to succeed. I want her to be in the Cup Series, but my gosh, she ain't even 20. She's not even 20. She hasn't even completed a truck start. She hasn't even made her truck start, no Xfinity starts. She hasn't even completed an ARCA season yet. And no offense, but she's not running that well in ARCA if you take a look at her stats at the moment. And you have her, just even saying her name as a possibility for the 43 car is just outlandish. But at the same time, it would fit 2020 in a nutshell. If Hailie Deegan were to drive the 43 car in 2021, that would be 2020 in a nutshell. So You know what? Screw it. Dean is driving the 43 car. But no, seriously, let's talk about Kyle Larson. We know the deal that's happening with Kyle Larson. Was fired from Chip Ganassi Racing over saying the N-word on an iRacing event in April. And I posted a video a few weeks ago on why I believe Kyle Larson deserves a second chance at NASCAR. If you want to take a look at it, click the card on the top right of your screen. It will take you to that video. I go over the things that he's done since being fired and go over why I believe he deserves a second chance. Now, currently at the moment, he hasn't been reinstated by NASCAR, but when he does, he more than likely will get back, or at least will be reinstated by NASCAR and will have the opportunity to race. Now, there were sources saying that he could potentially go and maybe replace Clint Boyer at the 14 car at Stewart-Haas Racing, but now it looks like that Clint Boyer will stay with the team. They will have the same lineup at SHR for 2021. So where does Kyle Larson go? Let's say if Kyle Larson goes to a race team, where does he go? Well, apparently there's a possibility. There are reports saying that Kyle Larson is a front runner for the 48 car. That's right, Larson in Jimmy Johnson's car in 2021. Now, how could this be? Because Hendrick Motorsports is a Chevy team. Larson has cut ties with Chevrolet after that incident in April. And I don't think Chevrolet would want to align themselves with Kyle Larson. Well, there's a report from Bob Parkhurst that's saying that because of the partnership between Hendrick Motorsports and Chevrolet, Hendrick has a bit of leeway to sort of, I guess you could say, ignore Chevrolet not wanting Larson to drive. So let's say if Chevrolet doesn't want Larson to drive their bow tie car, Hendrick Motorsports can, I guess you could say, not care about that and still take them, but Chevrolet doesn't have to give Larson a personal contract agreement like they do with their other drivers. So let's say if there's a Chevrolet convention and all the drivers come out to represent Chevrolet, Kyle Larson doesn't have to go. He's not required to go because Chevrolet would not sign a contract with him in terms of a personal standpoint. So that could happen. And remember, Jeff Gordon owns the 48 car. He said back in 2013, 2014, he wanted Kyle Larson in Hendrick Motorsports. He wanted him as a teammate or as a driver for that team. I'm pretty sure Jeff Gordon feels the same way, especially now with Larson on the market. It could be a possibility, but right now, this all stems on the possibility if Ally would even accept him. If Ally doesn't want Larson, then the deal's done. The deal's over. Or, let's say Larson is well liked by Ally, they're willing to give him a second chance, he could go over to the 48 car. Or, and this I could see likely happening if Larson goes to Hendrick Motorsports, Bowman goes to the 48 with Ally, and Larson takes the 88. But he could also potentially go to Richard Petty Motorsports because Andrew Murstein also said that he would like to have a heart-to-heart conversation with Kyle Larson to see if he deserves a second chance. And if he likes him, potentially Larson could go to the 43 car. There's still a lot of stuff going on at the moment. It is absolutely crazy. Also, Daniel Suarez, he's got Airish/Comscope with him as sponsorship deals. He could potentially go to the 43 car, help that team out, and drive that car. It's just a lot of stuff that's going on at the moment right now in terms of silly season, and it's too, I guess you could say, too early to determine who's going where. I think once one domino falls, then we're going to start to see the other dominoes fall and see everything put in place much later on in the season. But right now, there's still a lot of stuff going on at the moment. But that will conclude this episode of Inside Lines, guys. Tell me in the comment section down below, who do you think is going to go where? Do you think Hamlin's going to invest in a team? Where do you think Bubba Wallace will go? Suarez? Do you think Larson's going to come back to NASCAR? Where will Eric Jones go? Tell me all in the comment section down below. But until next time, I'm Jett from MDK, and I'll see you guys next time.